Ugh. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Connor, and this is your one-way stop for all things games, Connor Talks Games, maybe a little bit of anime if I'm feeling frisky, or if somebody is once again inquiring about when the next time I will be in the Saturn District. I don't know. The Saturnites are not always happy with my free flowing stuff, and I may be wanted for numerous war crimes out in that side of the galaxy. So I'm afraid I cannot be showing up there anytime. But what I can say is today I want to do a bit of a two-parter. Um, but before we get into the two-parter, let's talk a little bit about kind of what's been going down with me. Apologies for no episode last week. I was out and about with traveling, and while I did record an episode, Sam and I have collectively agreed. Yeah, this quality is it sounds like I'm underwater and nobody can hear me breathe. So it's not exactly the best for your viewing experience. And our two new subscribers, who last I've checked, we are now at 8, which is absolutely amazing. I don't know why 8 people like watching this, but if you like watching me, that's awesome. But, to make up for that, we're redoing that episode with my crisp now back in normal voice setup, not the whatever the hell I had recorded previously setup. And yeah, so I originally talked about the Planarcadia update for Honkai Star Rail, and I want to do that again today. I talked about it last week, but again, we didn't use the recording because it was so choppy. But I'm gonna talk about it again. Now, this is going to be unscripted. I don't have any notes. I just kind of want to talk about generally how I felt. And at the time of recording this, I've only played up until 4.0. I have not done the Morton X Blade update yet with 4.3. Actually, no, yeah. So I played 4.0 up to 4.2. I have not actually played the 4.3 update yet. So we're going to split it into two parts. We're just going to have this one be the part one for everything that I think up until that point. And then obviously, part two, I will talk a little bit about my experiences with the new update, what I think so far. But let's like okay, so let's just talk right now in general about Planar Arcadia. So I really like this Planar Arcadia planet that we find ourselves on. So there will be there's this is all going to be spoilers and stuff. So click off the video if you don't want to see any of this because it's going to be the whole way through. Um, so it starts out pretty normal enough. We go to this location called Planar Arcadia, and this is right after we're done with Amphorius, which I was still kind of riding off of the coattails of it. A little disappointed about the boss fight, but then again, anything with the high scene boss fight in Amphorius, it's beautiful. But I think that the start was pretty good. We land down, and this is the homeworld of Himiko, who is the navigator of the Astral Express, who we're very familiar with, having gone through Belobog, Xianzhou Lofu, Amphorius, obviously, and her to Space Station, and all the DLCs in between. In that journey, we don't really know a lot about her background. I think there was a little bit alluding to her father, but it didn't really get too crazy. So the main kind of plot hook with this planet is that Planarcadia is a planet that is foreseen under the Aeon of Elation Aha, and they have a annual game, festives of games in which they call it the Fantasy Moon Games, and the Fantasy Moon Games is a reoccurring event that happens every 15 years, in which the Aeon will give an individual 1 minute of fully unrestricted power of an Aeon, which means you could do a lot. And just a couple of examples off the top of my head on what happened to the planet. Uh, Planet got sealed inside of a painting and then let back out. Mass amounts of criminalization and genocide, and obviously assisting and helping people in other areas and bringing back loved and dead ones. I believe off the top of my head, those were just a few, which is, not everybody. Now, if that didn't really set you off, well, it's established that this power of an eon, anyone can get their hands on it, and this is demonstrated when there was a individual the last 15 years ago when Himiko, last we saw her, was actually still at the academy, and this individual was called the Herald of Death, and they were a participant in the Phantom Moon Games, and their emphasis on winning was, well, to put it simply, you're not called the Herald of Death because you sell cookies and pet dogs. You're called the Herald of Death because you brutally turn your victims into living works of grotesque, mutilated art and kill dozens of individuals in very brutal ways. Hence why the previous Phantom Moon games that you were a part of is dubbed the Bloodstained games for that exact reason. But this actually sets up a very important plot point because not only do we meet Himiko's father while we are learning all this going out from Planarcadia, but we also learn a bit of context as to the disease that she carries, why Asat Pirmat, who's the Lord Ravager of Nanook, why he set it upon her, and a bunch of other things that you learn in 4.0. Planarcadia also has a thing called Imagine, which is a thing where the paintings and thoughts of living creatures get actually created and brought onto reality. So it could be like, oh man, I really wish my anime waifu would be real. And if I painted her, she would be beautiful. But if I painted her, she would come out exactly as I would have done. And then she would probably also be that way. So what I'm saying is, gotta go to Plain Arcadia. That's where you find the good stuff. But Himiko's father is a very famous painter who travels the galaxy. He apparently locked himself away in a thing, and then they go around and they do shit. And she don't like her father too much. But as we're learning this, we get into a bit of a scrap with Sparksy, who's like this imaginate like what is it? Like the final form of Sparkle, who is a late fool, masked fool, excuse me. Like she discarded one of her masks. That's how Sparkle came about. And then Sparksy is this streamer that we end up swatting and we stop her from participating in Phantom Moon games. There was this girl, Evanesia, who is this Japanese manga obsessed individual who oversees the games as the arbitrator and is very laid back. We'll get to that in a minute. But the basic gist of 4.0 through 4.1. And then we meet this guy called Ashville, who I'm going to get to as well. 4.2, in my opinion, is where it really kicks off. And the reason for that is we get set up immediately from the plot in 4.1, which was a detective Ashvale with his cop partner, whose name I am forgetting, gets sent out to investigate this little organization called the Happy Smiles. Uh, yeah, the Research Society of Happy Smiles. And on the surface, it's this very small, like I think there was 200,000 recorded individuals who love have no hate, no issue whatsoever, and they want to spread happiness and joy to the inhabitants of Planet Arcadia absolutely free. Now, I don't know about you, but I've been a little bit known in the past to have an experience with being able to spot what I like to call a Ponzi scheme when I see it. So, seeing that this thing here is a little bit sus, we investigate. Now, Ashvale does a little bit of investigating, and as we like follow his plot line, as we are also participating in the Phantom Moon games, we learn a couple of things. For starters, these people, while they are happy, it's like a lot of stuff got taken in exchange. They don't feel anger, they don't feel sadness, they don't feel any real emotion. It's always happy 24/7. They're not forced. It's actually kind of scary. Uh, there's a recorded instance when you're playing in 4.1 where you're talking to some people. One of them wakes up in the middle of surgery. and she's just happy, laughing as she's getting this tumor removed, and she's not at all feeling any pain. Now, on one end, it is your prerogative as an individual to pursue whatever makes you happy. But on the other end, this is some back like water surgery they're performing where they stick something in you and it makes you happy. And it's really, really messed up. But obviously, this has to be run by an individual. Now, I want to go back to the Planar Arcadia, the academy, real quick that I mentioned. So, there is an individual who survived, and that individual is Fulwish. Now, Fulwish is up until that incident, she was a very normal girl. They went to Graphia Academy, the academy where the Herald of Death showed up. But the scary thing is, you see, she is the only survivor of that incident, and it absolutely broke her mentally. Out of the, let me get a number here actually, really quick. Let's see, out of the 100, yep, out of the 22 students that were killed by the individual known as the Herald of Death, she was the only survivor. And again, this guy does not like to play nice. He kills and turns you into a living painting. And this obviously messed her up. And it got so bad, it got to a point where she actually had people blaming her for being the only survivor. And it was awful. But eventually, she ends up finding this, the Happy Society of Smiles, and she joins it. And, she's happy for a time. She has, like, Uncle Bo, who's, like, her adoptive, new parent, and then she meets this grandmother who takes pretty good care of her. And, for a time, it was actually pretty good. She graduated, got some stuff, took over a TV, broadcast station called Fulwish TV, which was originally a failing thing, but they decided to bring it up. And she was doing good. I'm like, damn, this I could see maybe why she had a rough start. And then this is where I love the plot. So there's a TV show that she was a part of, and it was a thing where people were checking in on her and making sure that she does well. But the scary thing in this TV show, which was Please Be Happy, um, she was under the impression all the individuals in this mutual aid society that helped her were helping her for her benefit. Uh, it was all fake for media clout. And the gut-wrenching instance of seeing this is when the last episode gets recorded and then the director just casually says like, "Oh yeah, this will be great material for the show." And she's like, "Well, wait, what about, my family and whatnot who took me in when I was really down and after I lost my previous one?" Like, "Oh yeah, paid actors, indie actors we just found off the street, paid them a life ransom and called it a day." And then of course, the IPC got involved in this and really blew it up. And there's a quote later on that I'm going to quote from her in her boss fight, but that particular instance of messed up moments on Planarcadia being used for cheap laughs and thrills because the elation finds anything to be funny was messed up. And then, of course, this segues into her masked fool mask that she gets. Masked fool mask. Say that 10 times fast. Fulwish has a breakdown naturally, and she gets a mask. And she opens it up and she checks the back of it because there's a note and it says, "Your breakdown on TV was hilarious. Welcome to the club, kiddo." So she tries to break it and then she gets through some mental shit. And then she ends up uh, going to this cranial neurology department at the Failed Joke, which is the bar, but it's got like a medicine department. It's really weird. We're talking about Masked Fool here. Aha has no time to that. She has this psychological condition called the happiness syntax, which she expresses as an inability to describe negative feedback received by ourselves and an inability to actively express the pain of others perceived by ourselves. But she has the ability to actively sense the inner desires of others and corrupt them to do her bidding. Now, around this point is also when the Research Society of Happy Smiles starts getting a little crazy with the surgery. Now, this was insane. The reason why all of these people can't feel pain or all happy, have no issues whatsoever, is because of the fact that they have a literal piece of the abundance emanator shoo-hoo in their noggin when they get surgery. The context. The abundance is a aeon that gives you eternal life and also promotes the growth of life. But the issue with that is sometimes, much like in the movie The Thing, life likes to get a little bit out of hand, grows out of control, and that's where you get the abundance abominations. Creatures marred by the abundance who are fleshy blobs that corrupt and kill everything, and it's why the Zanjo wants to murder all of them. And Shuhu cannot die. So what Fulwish did is she found this flesh. I don't remember how she got it. I've not played 4.3, I've only played 4.2. And they started taking parts of it and injecting it into every single person that underwent that surgery. Now, another thing is the Phantom Moon game players have a mask that allows them to, participate in the games. It's like a source of power. It allows them to compete, get wish power, which in turn allows them to grow stronger through the civilians' wishes. Uh, you see, the problem is the individual in question is not actually Fulwish or the 200,000 people that were infected. It's fucking Shuhu. Shuhu is a player in this game, and his entire shtick in this thing is that anyone who wears his mask can use his power, and it gets to a point where you end up confronting Fulwish, and what she wants to do is she wants to take revenge on Planarcadia for all the wrongs that she has done against her. And the way they do that is by activating Shuhu's flesh within all the abundance people, and through their collective wish power, she wants to turn Plain Arcadia into like a demon world, just drown it in all of that, is what I would say. And then the Lord Ravager appeared, and I'm like, oh yeah, he wants this to happen because he wants to destroy the world. So my thoughts on possibly there being a Stellaron on Plain Arcadia, I'm pretty sure there is. I mean, there is technically one in Amphorius as well. It's just the odds of it appearing are probably not going to be until a couple patches later. But yeah, just consider this for a minute. Your planet gets completely laughing your ass off at you. Like they think you're a joke in every sense of the word. Your suffering amuses them. So you bury that for a very long time until you're given the opportunity to lash back out at them. And what better way to do it than by taking advantage of the people that were coming to you for happiness and gaslighting them and infecting them with a illegal surgery, hyper illegal, might I add. I mean, you're literally sticking pieces of a goddamn guy that could regenerate through like the faintest of parts onto you. Yeah, I would say that's pretty terrifying. And frankly, no, you don't want to do that. That's bad. Nobody likes that. That is awful. So eventually it gets to her boss fight, and wow, that was something. Now, I will say, I was not a fan of that, it was okay. I think the music goes really hard and, like, the visuals, but the story fight was not great. Now, what I mean by that is, so the way the boss mechanic works is, Fulwish has a state where she summons these, flowers, and they attack you, and her attacks inflict a status on your ally, and in order to get this status off, they need to attack the flowers. That's not a problem. The problem is the story wants me to use an elation-based team because I can only use the Trailblazer, who is the main character of the game, via elation. I don't have an elation team. I have Silverwolf, but she is not built yet. And to make matters even worse, he don't work too well. And breaking flowers gives you elation stacks. Okay, so let me actually drop a little bit of explain that real quick. So in like Star Rail, the latest like a path, the way it works is Aha has a turn, and all elation based characters go on their turn with an extra attack or buff or whatever. And it's a very specific team composition that has a very specific amount of characters that are required. I only have two. I don't even have the one you really want with it. So I don't know what you want from me, game. You're trying to make me use something I can't even bother to be used. But then I did the fight, and we end up going into second phase. The Trailblazer gets knocked off the edge, and then he comes back, and then you start throwing hands with the person, and that's all fine and dandy. But then it's like, man, this would be so much better if I didn't have to use the team composition. But then right in that quote I mentioned earlier, so right as you kill Fulwish and she's about to die, she has this bone-chilling line where she goes, "The Herald of Death could have killed me in seconds. It took Planarcadia 15 years to kill me." Ugh. Like, I know I have, like, a very specific standard when it comes to stories and whatnot, and for a lot of reasons, I like Gears of War, I'm a big fan of the Warhammer, Horus Heresy series, and I've always been a massive enjoyer of, going pure renegade sometimes in Mass Effect, but you cannot tell me that not even for a split second that did not qualify for a moment, and again, this is, like, all unscripted, and there's, like, a lot that I'm probably missing out on here, but, like, again, I have to reiterate this, it's bone chilling. She uses innocent individuals, preys upon their insecurities, their inability to perform, or some self-perceived issue of, inferiority to their peers, and she goes, "Alright. Here is what we're gonna do. I'm gonna say, play my time, and I'm gonna mentally manipulate every single person in my organization to get back at the planet that made fun of me and ruined my life twice." I would even go as far as to say, like, I think Full Wish, like in the second instance, and where her laughter was used as a means of propagating to the masses, that, in my opinion, definitely constitutes as a second death, at least mentally, because she finally thinks she's survived it, and then boom, your grandmother, yeah, she's a plant. Your uncle, he's a plant. All the people who helped you, yeah, they're plants. And here, take a mask and get fucked, bozo. Your joke was hilarious. Not even Sparksy would do that, and Sparksy is a very very not big fan of that. But I mean, honestly, I think all things considered, uh, there is a specific level of respect that I have for like this current planet because it's just a nice commentary on how messed up things like somebody else is suffering to the extent that it's just one big joke and your suffering is funny, and you are should be laughing that your parent got killed in a car crash. Like, yo, gamer, you did get that job. Oh, that's fucking hilarious. Your mom died. Bruh, that's awesome. But overall, I would say I have been really enamored by this patch, this update, this season of the funny. And I hope that it continues to sort of scratch that itch for me because man, whew, it has been something. Now I want to take the last 5 minutes actually to talk about the hypotheticals. But when you kill Fulwish as well, in order to deal with Shuhu's like flesh, because that's not going anywhere, you need to lock it into a host. And what better way to do that than with Blade, the guy who cannot die, at least in the traditional sense. Every time he tries to, he just gets back up, and it's really funny. And he goes, "You know what? Yeah, no, dying is not cool, gamer." But he locks this emanator of abundance into his flesh, and he uses it as a means to I don't know, something. It's like a metaphor for forging or something. But yeah, I rolled for him. He's awesome. I like him. He works really well in my archer team. Oh yeah, actually, speaking of which, at least at the time of recording this, the Fate Part 2 collab for Unlimited Blade Works is going to be coming out. And based off of all the leaks and whatnot, we're actually getting dual attacks with the collab characters. So what I mean is Archer and Gilgamesh. Wait, no, not Archer and Gilgamesh. Archer and Rin Toasaka, for instance, they will have attacks that scale off of each other based on like actions and whatnot. And Gilgamesh and Saber will also have attacks based off of various different intervals that they do dual attacks, and I just think that's really a neat way. Now personally, I'm hoping they do this part 2 right, because part 1, a lot of reused assets. The voice acting was not there, and what I mean by that is there was no English voice acting, which is fine, but like you couldn't even select the Japanese subtitles at the time for the new character, which I thought was like but poor Saber, she's been so power crept. Like, I don't wanna be a dick when I say this, but I just she doesn't do a lot of damage in comparison to my Archer. It's so funny to me. The free-to-play character, the free character they gave out just for logging in and giving your light cone as well, because you did a certain amount of pulls, is better than the character who you have to roll for and get her light cone for as well. Like, bruh, that is so funny to me. But I hope that in this new patch, she has a good specific niche with Gilgamesh, because I got a built Saber. She's just sitting there gathering dust. And I mean, she does okay in like Memory of Chaos and a couple of other areas, but nah. Oh, and fudge. I really wanted to talk about this. Um, I did see the Summer Games Fest, and I gotta say, there are so many games that I am very hyped for. I know I'm supposed to talk about Star Rail, but I really want to mention this. Alien Isolation 2, Wolf Among Us 2. Uh, we're getting a new Attack on Titan 3, but I don't care about that. The Blood of Dawnwalker, that's a big one I'm really excited about. Star Wars Zero Company, that's another one. Lords of the Fallen 2, obviously. What was it called? What was it called? Gundam Rogue Orbit, where I think aliens are gonna show up, but it's supposed to be a hack and slash, so I'm very excited for that as well. And then, of course, the one that so out of all the old gen Resident Evil games, Code Veronica is without a doubt my favorite. It's the one that I played countless times with my uncle. I love that game. I played the rail shooter. We're getting a remake of it, and I can't be more happy in spite of the fact that Capcom keeps milking it, but whatever. But yeah, I'm your host, Connor Talks Games. If you find this podcast to be amusing, please hit that subscribe button, click that notification bell. Do be sure to tune in for future episodes. I take questions at my personal email that I check at the connortalksgames@gmail.com. I repeat, that is connortalksgames@gmail.com. And of course, last but not least, be sure to check out some of our other podcasts and projects that we are currently working on. But yeah, without further ado, I'm your host, Connor Talks Games, and I hope that you are have a wonderful day, and I will see you next week.